Paul Hawksbee, Charlie Baker here on talkSPORT now. After a pretty incredible career at MK Dons and previously at Wimbledon, after 915 appearances over 22 years, Dean Lewington is hanging up the boots at the end of the season.
Well, he's leaving MK Dons. We don't know if he's retiring, Paul, if he's hanging up the boots.
Well,
maybe we'll ask him now. I don't know.
Question one. Hi, Dean.
Hello, Dean.
Hey, how you doing, okay?
Yeah, very good,
not
thank
so
you.
bad. I know you've been sort of interim a couple of times. Is it coaching you see your future in, or do you still want to play on?
I think mainly now is coaching. I think I'm not ruled out. Obviously, in the summer, something was to come up, but my main focus has really been on coaching for the last sort of 6 months and going forward. And I'll be 41 in the summer, so I sort of see all my efforts really going into that.
Yeah, I mean, was it an easy decision to make? Ultimately, what was the catalyst for it? Was it just getting a bit harder to get out of bed in the mornings?
That's been hard for a while now. I think it's just I've just not really been involved this year. I think you know, as a footballer, you want to play as much as you can, and I really wasn't involved, and it's not going to get any better as you get older. So it just comes to a point where you think, you know, why keep going really, and am I any use? And you know, I think with the club looking for a new manager, I think there'd be a new start, and it just seemed like the right time to sort of walk away.
Yeah. Have you been doing all your coaching qualifications?
Yeah, I've been doing them. Yeah, I started my A in May, so I've been finishing off my B and starting at A, and just been coaching as much as I can with various teams just to sort of get that practice in and to sort of work on doing that side of it. Yeah,
you've been at the club basically for its whole existence, which is. You must be the only player in existence to have actually done that, really. And what's been your brightest days as an MK Dons player?
I think when we promoted to the Championship, I think, and it was over 10 years ago now, but I think, you know, when the club was originally formed, it was coming out of the Championship, and I think to get back there was a huge achievement, and it was a shame it didn't last long, but I think, you know, that promotion year was a really exciting year, and we had a great team with sort of like Dele and Benicophobe and people like that, and it was just a shame that we couldn't keep everyone together. But I think over the years, promotions have always been the standouts.
Yeah, so you were there in that transition and the move to Milton Keynes. I mean, it was a difficult time, and it's always been a difficult relationship, hasn't it? Really, but you had a kind of foot in both camps because you were there at Wimbledon. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to change. I think. When we were going to leave, we was YTs at the time, and most of the first team got left, got sold, and the club went into administration. So we sort of went by default with the club, and for the young boys, it was a massive opportunity to get games in the first team and to give you that opportunity. And so, while I don't think it would ever happen again for the ones that were there, it was kind of it was out your hands, and you just sort of try to make the best with what you could do, sort of thing. And over the years, there was quite a lot of us that come up with the club, and they sort of one by one, they sort of left and gone. But it was obviously a big decision, but it was something that sort of had to happen because the club was effectively done. It would have gone out of business if it hadn't have happened. So they tried to make the best with what they could, but obviously some people disagree with that, and I completely understand. Have you enjoyed the resurrection of AFC and the opportunity to have those derbies in recent years? Yeah, the derbies is good fun, to be fair. Always a bit more lively at their place. They seem to like me, which is good. So always very kind. But I think it's I've got no animosity towards it. I can see it from both sides, and I understand why their fans would feel a certain way, and so it kind of is what it is in an aspect, and it gives a little bit of rivalry, and the games are always good to play in.
Have you ever had the chance to move, Dean? Has everyone come in for you or tried to send you out on loan anywhere?
Yeah, I've had a few times. I've had to sign a few pre-contracts with clubs, and just the fees were never available, or they sort of had other targets they had to spend money on first before they come back to me, or the chairman would always ask more than what I was worth, which was helpful. But it never really got to that point. But I was close a couple of times where I've actually sort of signed a pre-contract, but it never actually got there in the end. So mainly in my younger years, sort of in between like 23, 26, when I was playing quite well and at a good level. But for the last few years, it's always been, once you get to a certain point, you kind of feel like there's no real need to sort of to change it really.
Yeah, so you have stepped in, 3 times, haven't you, as interim? So you've had a flavour of what it's like being a manager. And I'm sure your dad will tell you, along with a lot of other people, it's much easier being a player. Players always say that and just get up and go home after training. But the work never stops for the manager, does it? So there'll be a little transition for you if things work out and you get a coaching job.
Yeah, everyone always says to me is, this is the easiest job you'll ever have. The coaching is obviously planning and watching games and all that kind of stuff. So your hours sort of double straight away. But I'm lucky I've sort of grew up with it really with my dad doing what he did. It's sort of been in the family, and the times I've been interim, Dad sort of come up and helped as well. So I'm lucky that I've got that experience, and I'm kind of used to that lifestyle because it's what I've grown up with really.
Very tight at the top of League Two at the moment. If you say you're not involved as much as you like to be on match day, I'm assuming you've been watching the games. Who do you fancy? Bradford, Port Vale and Walsall, they're all on 73 or 72 points. Who's the best team you've seen this season?
I think Bradford are probably the most complete out of those. They've got some good players, and they're getting some great crowds there now. So I think they've got that home advantage.
Yeah,
and they found a bit of form. Walsall were clear.
Yeah, they were clear. They were miles ahead, weren't they?
Come off. You do worry about them a little bit because just the form in those last 5 games is not necessarily the best team. It's just a team in form, and Doncaster I like as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Doncaster jumped above Walsall.
Yeah,
interesting.
And how is your dad doing? Because he was working with Roy, wasn't he, at Palace? And there were stories that he would meet, I think before they got back in, he would meet with Roy Hodgson. They'd sit in a little cafe in southwest London, and they'd be spotted moving the pepper pots around and looking at all the latest trends in the game. So keeping their hand in, waiting for the opportunity. So do you think we'll see him back in the dugout?
No, that's him done now. He's happily retired, and they're still meeting up for their sausage and mash or whatever they go for on a Friday afternoon. So they're still doing that. But I think he's happy to be out of it now. I think the last time he went back is probably a step too far. I think he looks back at it now and probably thought the one before that was probably the right time. But he's happy in retirement and enjoying the grandkids and having an easier pace of life.
Yeah. Put some trousers on now, has he?
Finally, yeah.
It must be weird having. Oh, my legs feel really warm.
Looks very hot legs. Very hot legs.
Legs feel. Suddenly, they're not as tanned as they used to be. You mentioned Dele earlier on, and I, as a Tottenham fan, I had a great joy watching him play. Absolutely in his pomp. It's good to see him back at Como, and hopefully coming back. I mean, how good a player was he to play with? Did you know you had something special as he was coming through?
Yeah, he was such a talented kid from a young age. But you get that a lot. Talent sometimes is the easy part. It's just how they're going to develop. And physically, he was always lucky. He had a great frame, and his physicality was always allowed him to play at a high level. But the year before he got sold, he really kicked on, and he looked a real top player. And I wouldn't say I expected him to do what he did, but I wasn't surprised as well at the same time. I think he always had that potential in him, and like you say, he was unbelievable for the first 3 or 4 years at Tottenham. He was arguably one of the best players in England for that period, and it's nice to see him now enjoying football, and hopefully he can just play some games at the very least and just get himself back into a place where he's happy and playing football again. Has
he kept in touch then? Do you ever catch up with him?
Yeah, I've seen Dele. I mean, unfortunately, last time I see him was at George Baldock's funeral, but we crossed paths and we have a message sort of thing. But he's come back to watch a few games as well. So he's always a top lad, Dele. I think he gets misrepresented sometimes in the media. He's a really nice kid, and like I say, I just hope he finds a bit of happiness and enjoys his football again.
No, absolutely. Completely agree with that. So, end of the season for you, just a couple of months left or whatever, and then you're in the market. You're looking to get into a coaching role, ideally.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I'd like to do it at Milton Keynes, but they're awaiting a new manager at the moment, and so it's a little bit up in the air in terms of backroom and what that will look like. So, for me, just concentrating on the coaching and hopefully, if it's not here, then it'll be somewhere else. But I've been in it for 22 years now and feel like I've got a lot to give, and I'd like to carry on in some aspect within football.
So have you thrown you out into the ring at MK to potentially have a conversation about being the coach?
No, they're far down the line with the manager.
Right. Okay.
So we're sort of wait and see, and who gets that to see what they're like in terms of backroom staff and things like that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
It's been really good to talk to you. Congratulations on a great career.
Yeah, congratulations, Steve. Good luck.
You don't get many one club men or just two club men to become the YTS.
Open up a can of worms there, Paul.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, I know I have. I'm going to have all the AFC fans on my back, but he did explain. Anyway, cheers, Dean. All the best. Thank you very much.
Right.
There we are. There's Dean Lewington now, MK Dons, after 21 years.
I think the Wimbledon fans would say it's two clubs.
I know. I did say two club men. There's a bit of mischief in there. It's a bit of mischief.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons, 1 till 4. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.